Fix Weir, roadtoruta.com with a shocker this morning. Lovely President Donald Trump says he is open to breaking up the big banks. So all you guys who said, oh my God, he's turned to the dark side, he's such a bad guy, he's in league with the bad guys. If he was, he wouldn't say something like that. That is a earth-shattering thing to say for a president, to open his mouth and actually say what every president before him has been afraid to say. Breaking up the big banks would destroy the banking cabal. It would destroy the derivative market. It would destroy many things. And Trump knows exactly what he's doing and exactly what he said. And he said it for a reason on a very auspicious day, May 1st. May 1st, the 6-year anniversary of the Silver Slam and the 6-year anniversary of the artificial bear market for both gold and silver. Very interesting stuff. And here it is at zero hedge. Bank stocks tumble after Trump says open to breaking up big banks. This is right after Steve Mnuchin, the criminal computer market rigger from Goldman Sachs and our new Treasury Secretary, said, and I quote, "You can thank me for recent rise in bank stocks." And then just 1 hour, about an hour and a half later, Trump says he's actively, quote, actively considering breaking up the big banks. That's shocking. Shocking to most people, except if you're on the road to Ruta, you know exactly what's going on. The good guys are taking down the bad guys. Trump has done a 360 in order to show that the system is not sustainable. And at the end of the day, it's going to crumble. And yes, the big banks will be gone. All banks will be gone, actually, because the monetary system cannot survive without the big banks rigging it via computers and derivatives. JP Morgan, with $50 trillion worth of derivatives, can't be broken up. It would destroy the derivative market. Same with Citibank and Bank of America and Wells Fargo. The derivative market would be destroyed, and that's exactly what Trump wants. And, of course, you have a reaction from the market. There's the JP Morgan chart. Bang! It gets nailed. Gotta love days when JP Morgan stock gets nailed. It's just, it warms my heart. But also want to say, give you a quick look at what the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston put out on the very same day they put out the comic books for the Road to Ruta stuff and Wishes and Rainbows. There were 3 publications posted that day to the website. 2 of them had big red exclamation points on them. That was the Wishes and Rainbows comic book, the remake, and the Road to Ruta, a teacher's guide for Wishes and Rainbows. And that also had a big red exclamation point. But there was a 3rd pamphlet that was put out that very same day. It was a remake, actually, of a pamphlet from 1987. But this one is called Banking Basics. Now, Banking Basics is it's a handbook it's kind of for kids to teach them about the banking business, but also there's some sneaky little things that the Federal Reserve snuck into this publication as well. Not a lot, but there is some. You know, first page, look at it. You've got a kid putting a gold coin with a dollar sign into his bank. When was the last time we had a gold coin in the United States? Doesn't mean much. No, doesn't mean much. Unless there's more than this going on in the pictures associated with Banking Basics. So let's take a look. Page 2. Oh, let's just zoom in on that gold coin going into a green, like Federal Reserve note, green, piggy bank. Okay, still reading up too much into it. I get it. And here's the table of contents. Basic information on banking. Really, you know, kind of, if you're interested in how banks work, it's a kid's form. And here we have a couple girls standing in line at an ATM machine. One has a gold credit card, and it looks like the other has some gold in her hands. Gold coins. What is going on here? More gold coins. And remember, this got published on the same day at the same page as the Road to Ruta stuff. Moving on. If you want to learn about banks, how people start banks, how to become a criminal, here's your handbook. How did the banking system begin? You can find all this stuff out online. And we have in the next picture nothing exciting except a little glisten from that green. Looks like could be an emerald. Go back to the Wizard of Oz stuff. Emerald green. All right, moving on. How do you choose the bank? What types of bank accounts do banks offer? It's going to get better, don't worry. Is it difficult to open a bank account? No, it's easy. As a matter of fact, you can go into a bank and exchange gold coins for money, for green money. And look at the little chart of gold prices on the right side. When was the last time you went into your bank and you saw the price of gold posted on the wall? When was the last time you went into your bank and you could exchange gold coins, quite a few of them I might add, for paper dollars, or vice versa? You don't know which is which. Looks like she's giving in her gold or either getting the gold and exchanging it for the gold coins, for the greenbacks. Is this a little glimpse into our future? I think absolutely it is. That's a lot of gold coins too. Right up, yeah, if you follow the road to Ruta, you'll know there's a lot more gold out there than they're telling you. But that's not all. Let's keep going. How do you apply for a loan? This is pretty long. Again, green is symbolic of the U.S. dollar. But let's get to some good stuff. Talks about electronic banking, credit cards, gold credit card again. Do banks keep large amounts of gold and silver in their vaults? What? The Federal Reserve is talking about gold and silver? Let's see what it says. Today, banks rarely keep gold or silver in their vaults. That's because our paper money is no longer backed by gold or silver, and our coins don't contain precious metal. Wow, the Federal Reserve's telling people this? The U.S. government still holds millions of ounces of gold and silver. What? The U.S. government holds millions of ounces of silver? I would tend to disagree, although if you count the inventory for the U.S. Mint program, potentially yes, that they do hold millions of ounces. But the Silver Eagle program uses hedged silver. The U.S. Mint puts silver derivatives on their inventory. Anyway, let's keep going. But citizens and foreign governments can no longer exchange their U.S. paper money for it. The government's gold and silver are considered valuable assets rather than forms of money. Today's coins and paper money are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. Remember when Ben Bernanke was testifying in Congress and Ron Paul asked him, why does the U.S. Government hold gold? And he said, oh, it's just tradition. Well, according to the Federal Reserve Bank, the U.S. government holds millions of ounces of gold because they are considered valuable assets rather than forms of money. There you go. Today's coins and paper money are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. What does that mean? The full faith and credit of the most corrupt establishment on the face of the earth? Anyway, keep going. If that makes you a little uneasy, yes it does, Mr. Fed. Try the following exercise. Put a $10 bill and a blank piece of paper on a tabletop and ask people to choose between the two. Chances are everyone will choose the $10 bill. Why? After all, neither the $10 bill nor the blank piece of paper is backed by gold or silver. The difference is that people all over the United States will accept the $10 bill as payment if you want to buy something. But you would have a hard time finding someone willing to accept the blank piece of paper. That's because the $10 bill is backed by the promise of the United States government, and to most people that promise is as good as gold. Here's my question. What is the promise? What is the promise? It says it's promised by, and it's the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, but what is the promise? Is the promise to maintain the value of that unbacked fiat currency? Because they surely haven't done that since 1913. The value of the dollar has dropped 99%. What is the promise? Moving on. There's more good stuff here. Why do banks fail? Classic. This is a Federal Reserve Bank document. And there's two scenarios that are played out here. The first one is, I'll just read them to you. A bank is a business like any other business. They can fail. Sometimes they fail because the people who run them make poor business decisions, such as expanding too quickly or putting too much money into one type of loan. Sometimes they fail because of fraud. Oh, really? Maybe the president makes questionable the president of the bank, hopefully, makes questionable loans to friends or hires unqualified relatives and pays them huge salaries. But banks also go out of business because changing economic conditions make it difficult or impossible for borrowers to repay their loans. All right, yes, banks do fail. They're businesses. But the Federal Reserve, this is not something the Fed always wants to tell people. Here's an example, classic example, and this is going to go on, so get ready for it. Gusher National Bank slips on falling oil prices. Falling energy prices mean cheaper gasoline and lower home heating bills, so falling oil prices must be good, right? Not for everyone. Take the case of Gusher National Bank. Gusher was very aggressive in making loans to oil and natural gas companies that had no problem repaying their loans when energy prices were high. The loan spelled big profits for Gusher, and everyone agreed that Gusher's executives were smart business people who really knew how to make money. Then what does that remind you of? Then the economy slowed down and the demand for energy fell. Factories burned less oil and natural gas. Truck drivers, commuters, and vacationers drove fewer miles and burned less fuel. As a result, energy prices dropped sharply and many energy companies fell behind on their loan payments. Some even stopped making payments altogether. Months passed, oil prices remained low, and more energy companies fell behind on their payments. Finally, Gusher lost so much money to bad loans that government regulators had to step in and close the bank. Gusher had fallen victim to changing economic conditions, falling energy prices, and a high concentration of loans to energy companies. Exactly. That's exactly what happens when the price of oil drops too low, and we saw it in 2008? I think we're going to see it now, potentially. But the other one is the big one. And the other one comes right after this picture right here. And if you know what this picture is a picture of the Federal Reserve bathed in sunlight with an open door. Bathed in sunlight with an open door. What is the opposite of that? Shadowed in darkness with a closed door? With all the GATA people? Let me move this around a little bit. If you can see it right there. That's my GATA picture. With the GATA people charging the doors. This is the exact opposite. If I was the artist who did the GATA painting, I would sue the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston for stealing his idea. Since when is the Federal Reserve bathed in sunlight with an open door? Maybe after the crash? We'll see. But here's the second case. Everybody will relate to this. This came out in 2007. On January 1st, 2007, before the housing crash. Listen to this. Bedrock Bank gets too big too fast. Bedrock Bank's new president was determined to turn his bank into the region's biggest lender. Bedrock's loan officers got the message and started making as many loans as they could for condominium developments, shopping centers, office buildings, and high-priced suburban housing developments. Loan applications were not always checked as closely as they had been in the past, and some of the loans were approved more quickly than they had been in the old days. But nobody seemed concerned because the local economy was strong and real estate values were rising rapidly. Everything seemed fine. Everyone was making money. Hello, is that happening right now? But then the economy slowed down and things took a turn for the worse. The weak economy forced many businesses to close, leaving lots of vacant office space. Real estate values plummeted and many developers fell behind on their loan payments. In the end, Bedrock Bank was losing so much money on bad real estate loans that government regulators were forced to step in and close it. The regulators tried to find a buyer for Bedrock, but no other bank wanted to get stuck with all the loans that had gone bad. Eventually, another bank agreed to buy Bedrock if the federal government would agree to keep many of the problem loans. That is the 2008 crash in a nutshell. And this came out from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston on January 1st, 2007, in the exact same webpage posting as Wishes and Rainbows and The Road to Ruta, A Teacher's Guide. Is it all becoming clear now? I don't know if there's any more exciting pictures. There's a lot of greenbacks floating around there. But this booklet called Banking Basics, and there's the girl standing in line with the gold in her hand. And it ends with a picture, of course, of the girl at a bank exchanging paper money for gold coins with a picture of a price graph in the background. This, my friends, is what is happening and will happen very fast as the banks start to crash. We are returning to a gold standard. It's all part of the plan. Run the system as long as hard as it can, the unbacked fiat system, until you print too much, destroy the system, break up the banks, as Donald Trump just said, and start fresh. That, my friends, is the road to Ruta in a nutshell, as presented by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. This is Bix Weir. Subscribe to this video, and if you want a free book called Silver, Gold, Bitcoin, and God, go to roadtoruta.com, put your name and email in there, and you get free emails and a free book. You can't beat it. We'll talk to you later.